goodness, it's Friday, and you know what? I don't think you all could notice it, but we actually have a bigger camera craning down on us right now. And it feels like we're just upgrading from time to time. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Get ready because we prepared a lot of great content for you to make the day even better.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. Join us as we kick off this Friday with a smile and some serious good times. And good morning, I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Let's dive into some serious fun, and more fun. Let's make today a beautiful day.
Can I just say, I really want to make today very special because it's the last day of our floor director, Droy, who's leaving us for the afternoon.
I am so sad, Droy.
How dare you leave us?
And I just want to say that it has been a great start to the show. Droy was a big part of it, and we cannot wait to have a great last Friday
Love you,
with him.
Joy.
Thank you, Joy, for everything.
Galit kami sa'yo.
Love you.
Kala ko favorite mo kami, then you go to the afternoon shift. That's not fair.
Let's talk later.
All joking aside though, let's now move on to the news at the meantime. A lot to talk about. So after being driven out of Luzon, it only took a Philippine offshore gaming operator, or POGO, 4 days to set up and resume their illegal activities in the Visayas. Documents obtained by BNC senior reporter Nancy Carvajal shows how 12 Chinese POGO bosses and dozens of workers, mostly Indonesians, escaped the raid in the Chintian Di Goji Group POGO hub in Angeles City, Pampanga last June 4. Reports say from a drive-in hotel in Angeles City, they traveled to Manila via Mandaluyong City, then to Cebu City until they moved on to Lapu-Lapu City, where they set up boiler rooms. But a request for assistance from the Indonesian government led to the raid at the tourist garden, where 162 foreigners were caught preying on potential victims on August 31. Most of the workers were duped into thinking they'd be hired as customer care service agents or restaurant staff members, but were instead forced to work in various online scams. 6 Filipinos were also taken into custody and are being considered as state witnesses against the POGO hub's owner, Chinese national Zhao Lao. Senator Win Gatchalian revealed 3 names who possibly assisted in Alice Guo's escape. But these names were already mentioned in previous hearings on Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGOs. These are Duan Ren Vu, Jiang Ji, and Huang Jiyang. Wu is an executive of Whirlwind Corporation, which allegedly provides service to POGO Lucky South 99. Jiang Ji is said to be the president of Lucky South 99, while Huang Jiyang is also connected to Lucky South 99 and other POGO hubs in Bamban and Fontana. These people were allegedly the ones who booked Guo's hotel, coordinated people as she traveled, and organized the trip. However, Gatchalian added these 3 have already fled the country. Chinese national Huang Jiyang is also said to have 5 passports for ease of travel. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, or PAOC, awaits the arrest warrant and red notice for Huang Jiyang to coordinate his arrest.
Despite continuous tension, China still leads as the Philippines' trading partner. Trading between the two countries amounted to $40 billion in 2023. The Philippine Statistics Authority said the trend continued in 2024. Until now, China still leads among suppliers of imported goods in the country. The Philippines imported from China a total of $2.60 billion from January to June this year. Meanwhile, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority approved over 2 billion pesos of investments from China and Hong Kong, 3 times more than last year. However, latest Bangko Sentral data shows overall foreign direct investments in the Philippines is still low. Retired police Colonel Royina Garma broke into tears after lawmakers held her in contempt and decided to detain her in the House of Representatives. This after she refused to answer the questions thrown at her about her relationship with former President Rodrigo Duterte. Congressman Stephen Paduano said Garma's relationship with Duterte might have something to do with her appointment as former Cebu City Police Chief and former General Manager of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. A former Davao Prison and Penal Farm office alleged that Garma approached him in 2016 before 3 Chinese drug lords were killed inside their detention cell. Garma supposedly mentioned they will have something to work on in prison and that he should not question them as his family might get affected. Garma will be detained in the House of Representatives until the Quad Committee's investigation is done.
The House Committee on Appropriations came to a unanimous decision to cut the budget of Vice President Sara Duterte's office in 2025. From 2.073 billion pesos, the OVP's budget will be trimmed down to 733 million pesos. According to the committee's recommendation, Representative Stella Kimbo said that this is due to excessive redundant social programs and extended offices of VP Sara. Meanwhile, Kimbo stated that the recommended budget will still undergo plenary deliberations where it can still be modified. But the lawmaker assures that the beneficiaries of the OVP's programs will still have access to the assistance through coordination with the Health Department and DSWD.
Ang lumabas sa hearing ay number one, tila napakaraming opisina. Bakit? Whereas the previous vice presidents did not have those nationwide offices. Sa mga benepisyaryo po ng ating OVP, huwag po kayong mag-alala.
House Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro on Thursday denied Vice President Sara Duterte's claims that the Makabayan bloc swayed House Speaker Martin Romualdez's decision to remove the office of the Vice President's confidential funds for 2023.
My comment, you will allow me.
In BNC's agenda, Castro said the Makabayan bloc is overall against the assistance of confidential and intelligence funds in any proposed budget. This comes after the Vice President claimed that the Makabayan bloc asked House Speaker Martin Romualdez to remove the OVP's confidential funds in 2023. Duterte asserted that the issues surrounding her office's misuse of confidential funds are part of an attack against her.
Well, parang sabi niya, binulungan daw namin.
Opo.
Well, hindi. Kasi, ano yan, talagang, di ba sa plenary namin, in-expose yan, na, di ba, at sinabi namin yung marami, yung ganito, yung 125, at hindi lang siya yung kinaltasan.
The House Appropriations Committee has recommended a massive reduction to the proposed budget for the OVP for 2025 after Duterte snubbed her second budget hearing. Duterte attended the first deliberations on August 27 but avoided to answer questions about the proposed 2 billion peso budget for 2025 and the COA's findings on the disallowed funds.
Philippine National Police Chief Romel Marbil says the child victims of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy are, quote, brainwashed, and some fear that narrating their alleged abuse may cost them their salvation. In agenda, Marbil said that the concept of the, quote, angel of death as a punisher to those who challenge and disobey Kibuloy has been deeply ingrained in the minds of the victims. He added that brainwashing allegedly begins in Glory Mountain, where followers undergo a military-style training and absorb the beliefs of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, or KOJC. Once ready, Marbil said the victims are sent to the KOJC compound for further indoctrination until they are, quote, prepared to sacrifice their bodies to Kibuloy. Kibuloy allegedly convinced young victims that engaging in sexual acts with him was a divine act and threatened that the angel of death would come after them and their families if they exposed what was happening. The self-proclaimed appointed son of God is now detained at Camp Crame, along with 4 co-accused on charges of qualified trafficking in persons and child abuse. He's also listed on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's most wanted list. Now on to our weather report. It's going to be a rainy Friday as a weather disturbance looms outside the country. As of 5 a.m., Pag-asa says that the severe tropical storm with international name Bebinca was last seen east extreme northern Luzon. Forecasters explain it may enter the Philippine area of responsibility later today and will be locally named Ferdy. Pag-asa, though, adds it is not expected to make landfall and is projected to head over to Japan. For today, the trough or extension of Bibingka is dumping rains in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon. It is also enhancing the southwest monsoon or habagat, causing downpour across southern Luzon and the Visayas as well as Mindanao.
And now on to sports. Creamline completes a historic run in the Premier Volleyball League. The Cool Smashers are the first team to achieve a Grand Slam or capturing 3 titles in a single season by winning the Invitational Conference Championship. They beat the Cignal HD Spikers in an epic 5-set finale Thursday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Final score 21-25, 25-17, 20-25, 26-24, and 15-13. Import Erica Staunton top scored for Creamline with 29 points, while Bernadette Pons chipped in 27 markers. Gemma Galanza sealed the deal for Good Vibes Nation with the clutch game-winning point. The former Adamson standout finished with 11 points. Ace player Kyle Negrito was named Finals MVP, and Michelle Gumabao took home the conference MVP honors.
You know, great achievement there for the Creamline Cool Smashers. Congratulations to them, a grand slam. I was watching the game last night. And Cignal HD were so close to finally getting over that hump, but then Creamline just doing what they could do to get that grand slam, an historic one at that, and of course with a couple of injuries still managed to make history for themselves. But you know, enough about sports because it's a Fitness Friday. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
I mean,
It is
Fitness
still
Friday
a sport,
is,
right? Yeah, we can still talk about sports.
100%. But
Yes.
we have a guest here
Yes,
that is
we
going
do.
to talk a lot about fitness and health.
That's right, because up next, a health assistant secretary will join us live to talk about the latest on mpox, as we also discover the little-known fact that he is a fitness instructor. Don't miss a dynamic discussion that blends crucial health insights with a personal twist. Only here on It's a Beautiful Day. We'll be right back.
And we are back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. The health department reports there are active mpox cases in the country, but tells the public not to be alarmed. The DOH says the mpox virus is not airborne and can be transmitted through intimate skin-to-skin contact or exposure to contaminated objects. Now, to give more light about this, we are joined by Assistant Secretary Albert Domingo. Good morning, Asek. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Paolo. Good morning, Monique and Anne. It's a beautiful day to be here.
Absolutely. You got the memo about that. I have to say that.
Yes.
Pero Asek, of course, we're here to talk about not just mpox, we're also talk about your fitness side quest.
Yes.
Pero pag-usapan muna natin yung mpox because it has been something that people have been concerned about. We have been monitoring it. Just taking a look at the general situation of mpox in the country, how would you describe it at the moment?
This year is not the first time that mpox has been in the Philippines. It's been around since 2022. In fact, when we do case counts, yes, there are 15 active cases, but we've had cases since 2022. 9 have already recovered since 2022, 2023, and we've always been getting what you call clade 2. We have to understand that the current public health emergency of international concern is because of what you call clade 1B. That one we don't have yet. We always say it's only a matter of time, but because we're getting, shall I say, practice because of clade 2, which is a milder form, our systems are being strengthened, are being prepared so that when clade 1B does come in, we already know what to do.
And speaking of coming in, I know Secretary Ted Herbosa mentioned that he is creating a task force,
Yes.
correct, on the mpox. Can you talk more about it and expound? And how many people comprise the task force as well?
Right. So the task force for mpox, or mpox task force as we call it, is composed of roughly, there are 4 or 5 heads. They're what we call task groups. They're in charge of surveillance or testing. Also, you have biologics, which means the vaccines and the other medications. You have risk communication. I'm in that particular task group, and also behavior change. You have logistics logistics and the finance, and I'm forgetting the other one, but those are the core. Oh, the other one is partnerships and the connections with the World Health Organization, other entities. This is like your standard, shall we say, emergency operations center. When we say emergency, it doesn't mean that it's already an emergency. It's just that we act this way so that we are ready for any eventuality. This task force takes care of the nitty-gritty, the logistics, the finance. Before me as spokesperson, before I say something like we're going to buy or get 2,000 vaccine donations, you have a lot of hardworking staff who are making sure that the papers are in order. I won't be saying something that I will regret saying later on. So everything that we say on air is already prepared for like days in advance. So that's what the task force does.
And,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Mo, but as like you take a look at the preparations that is being done by the DOH, a lot of people are comparing this to maybe a recent pandemic, wondering about maybe face mask mandates. Is that something that the DOH is looking at? And is that something that might actually address the mpox in particular?
Oh, no, it's not a mandate. I would be wearing a face mask right now, this close to you, if it was something required.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely, right? You can't have a spokesperson on air not wearing a face mask by mandate. So it's not going to be mandated. And the science here, Paolo, is the transmission is skin to skin. It's close, and it's not just a basic skin to skin. A frequently asked question of us is, if I happen to brush my arm beside someone when I'm on the MRT or on the Jeep, will I get mpox? The answer is no, because unless the other person has an active lesion or you can see pustules, boils on the skin, then you won't be getting it. There is a low risk of you getting it. You simply have to, when you arrive at your office, wash your arms with soap and water. But to answer your question, the face mask is only requested, we're not even requiring it, if you have very close face-to-face. I don't want to cause a stir by coming close to your face right now, but, but to demonstrate, we have to be very close and like breathing into each other's... In other words, when you have people who are kissing, hugging, beso-beso, so those things we try to reduce at this point in time.
And you mentioned earlier, Asik, about testing.
Yes.
Do we have test kits? How do we test for mpox, just in case we were in contact with somebody that does have it?
How can you tell if you already have mpox?
Right. So mpox goes through a series of symptoms on the skin. It can often be confused with other skin diseases like chickenpox, herpes, shingles. There are many things that can cause boils on your skin. So the first stage is clinical differentiation. You have a lot of doctors, dermatologists in particular, who are experts when it comes to the skin. And they can tell, does this little boil look like mpox or not? Even regular doctors find it difficult. I'm a regular doctor in that sense. I'm a general practitioner. And there was actually a time where I did have to refer the child of one of our house staff. And I was spokesperson. I was afraid it might be mpox. So I went to our ITM. They helped me quite well. They were handling the patient quite well. They looked at the stages of the skin lesions and they said, we don't even need to test for mpox because we are confident that this is chickenpox. So that's stage one. In the event that in other cases that there is a high index of suspicion that this really looks like mpox, then you have what you call PCR, polymerase chain reaction. I'm very careful in saying these terms because it triggers post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm pretty sure the last time you heard PCR, it was about COVID-19, right? So no, this is not COVID-19. It just so happens that that is the technology that we use to test not just for mpox, but also for COVID-19, for tuberculosis, for many other things. So think of it as a microscope. It's like a microscope. So that is your PCR. And it allows us to differentiate whether someone that we suspect of having mpox is really mpox or not.
Asik, before we move on from this, of course, there's a lot of literature that can be looked at on this. But from the DOH perspective, from all of us who are concerned about mpox, where can our viewers go and see the literature on mpox from the DOH?
Right. So we hope that you will be following the DOH Facebook page, Department of Health Philippines. Make sure it's the one with the verification mark. We also also have a Twitter account, DOH.gov.ph. But if you do go to our website, the DOH.gov.ph, there are pages there. We also encourage you to look at the World Health Organization pages. So these are the reputable sources. And also, if you'd like, you can go to the US Centers for Disease Control. These will actually publish extensive reference materials, in particular the science of mpox, which is why we are very confident in communicating this, because we know a lot more compared to when we were faced with, remember there was a time we called it nCoV?
Yeah.
COVID-19,
Yeah.
COVID-19,
nCoV, yeah.
nCoV,
Yeah.
right? So now, on the onset, we know it's mpox. It used to be called monkeypox trivia because it was found in monkeys in 1958, that far back. It was renamed to mpox to lessen the stigma.
Yeah, and of course, you can catch all that again online. Make sure you go check that out. But at the moment here, Anne, I want to focus on the side quest of
Yes,
Asik.
yes.
He has a secret life.
Asik has so many hats.
Literally.
No, but it's Fitness Friday today, so that's
Yes.
why we are going to let you guys in on a little secret. Asik Domingo right here is actually a fitness instructor. A really good one at that. So tell us about what you do, Doc. I mean, I already know, but let's tell them.
Of course. So I do teach indoor cycling. The program is Les Mills RPM, but the generic name, as we say in medicine, is indoor cycling. It's a group fitness class. I teach 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. in this gym in Alabang.
Okay. I don't know how you find time to handle 3 classes in a week, really, because, you know, we've been there, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
it gets really, really busy. So, you know, I never did get to ask you this, but why indoor cycling? What made you get, you know, so hooked into Les Mills RPM?
So another fun fact about me is I am hypertensive. I've been hypertensive
Okay.
since age 24. Yes, and my grandfather passed away at the age of 55, even before my mother met him. So grandfather on the father's side.
Oh, okay.
So the real reason is not aesthetics; it's actually health. So in the family, there's a very strong history of cardiovascular disease. And in addition to diet, which is hard to do for me, I find it
Yeah, like
harder
us.
to
We're
avoid
always
food
eating.
for most people. Exercise is actually fun, and it also helps lower your blood pressure. It helps lower the amount of medication that you take in. Now, Anne, you're probably wondering, why not other programs?
Oh, yes, kasi
diba?
there are so many other programs under the Les Mills umbrella, right? So why RPM?
Because I have 2 left feet. I can't dance, so I can't.
No body jam for you.
No dance classes. I can do the barbell class, the body pump, because you don't dance there. And I can actually pretend that I'm dancing on the bike. But the secret is there's a bike that keeps your feet locked in.
Yes, I like those.
So
I
just
actually-
upper body movement.
I can't
Exactly.
do the upper body movements. Actually, I've done a spin class, and I am also not coordinated. So I just prefer the biking, not the dancing
yeah,
part.
yeah.
Me not being a very non-dancer, I think I can just follow all your
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
and,
yeah.
and the nice thing about what we teach, what you teach, it's the kind of cycling class that simulates an outdoor ride.
That's correct.
Right? It's
That's
not really
correct.
the one with, you know, movement.
that's what I like.
Yeah. So there are actually multiple formats even within the cycling class world or
Yes,
the indoor
yes.
cycling world. So the Les Mills RPM program has a pattern that we follow.
Yeah.
We simulate outdoor experiences, and that's exactly what we try to do
Yes.
when we're teaching it to our students. And fun fact, there are a lot of students, particularly in the branch that I teach in, that you wouldn't know outside class are also officials in government, without naming them, of course, but like, ooh,
Yes,
you're in
yes.
this agency, like, hi,
Right.
hello. But when you're in the gym, everyone forgets what you do in the daytime, even for
Right.
just 1 hour. It's also a way of mental health relaxation. Because you get a chance in a controlled environment, you're safe, you're actually burning calories,
Right,
and you
yes.
somehow get to rest from what's keeping you worried just for that moment.
Right. Do you have any fitness advice for anybody that wants to try spinning for the very first time?
Well, 2 things. In general
Be
advice,
prepared.
2 things.
No pressure.
Number one, you have to make time for it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you just go into one class and then, ooh, let's go, like
Right.
energy. No, that will actually lead to health problems because you
Yes.
might get traumatized. Your
Yes,
body will.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So in
we're,
shock.
we're very careful when there are first timers, and this is the second piece of advice. So again, first piece, make time for it. regularly, like ideally 3 times a week, and treat it like a meeting.
Yeah.
I was telling Anne off air that my staff know that they can see my Google Calendar. If it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's a gray box there, don't schedule anything because that's my teaching time. Right? So number one. And then number two, for everyone, whether you are a beginner or advanced, especially for the beginners, do not be pressured. That's what we always say when we're teaching. This is not about being, bida inside the class.
Yes, yes.
I'm the best.
Right,
No. Every attendee has his or her own fitness level. Everyone is welcome. And we instructors are very much able to adjust. We don't, there is a technique in teaching that you are able to reach out to the competitive member, the competitive attendee.
True,
but there's
true.
also an ability to teach those who are beginners.
Yes, and we can tell when we're in front of the class, right? We know who are the athletic ones, and the ones who are medyo shy, they sit in the back, right?
So it's my turn to put the tables on you. Anne and I actually trained at the same time in Singapore for the advanced level of instruction.
For the advanced.
So you guys are the people in the front showing off, not just kidding. I'm the one in the back. I'm like, oh my God.
Alright, but we have to wrap up in just a bit, Asik. But then, for those who want to take a class under you in particular, how do they do so, especially if they're government officials who might need it in their career?
The Secretary of Health actually wants to attend one of my classes. And I'm like,
Please,
Sector ka? but if you
be prepared.
Right, but if you are interested, and you can always, number one, you just have to be a member of Fitness First Alabang. That's the key entry point. And then find me in the branch in Alabang.
Right.
So the classes, I gave you the schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. There's an app that you can book in, and that's going to be your start, and I'll see you in the studio.
I cannot wait to see how many government officials end up going there after this and discovering this. Maraming salamat, Asik. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Paolo, Mo, and Anne, of course. Nice to see you again.
I know, I missed you.
We'll see you in the gym, Asik. Now, from a source of inspiration, we'll talk to a source of inspiration as a military officer proves that disability does not stop him from pursuing his dreams. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to the show. You are still watching It's a Beautiful Day on the Billionaire News Channel. Helen Keller, a blind and deaf American author, once said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision." Just like Keller, a Filipino military officer sees the light in his darkest days and proves that disability does not mean inability. Joining us today, the founding chairman of Wounded Soldiers Agriculture Cooperative, Captain Jerome Jacuba. Good morning, Captain
ma'am.
Jerome, and
Good morning.
welcome to the program.
Good morning,
We are so glad that you could join us today.
Captain, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for being with us. Unang-una, thank you very much for all the service and everything that you've done. Sobrang nakaka-inspire talaga yung kwento mo because you are still living a full life despite yung blindness mo. For those wondering how you became blind, can you tell us a bit about that story muna?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was March 2, 2016 during our combat operation against the BIFF or Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters in Maguindanao. So this is a combat clearing operation. So our mission there is to secure the irrigation system because there's a dredging project of our government. So yung mga rebels po doon ay against on that development. So sinunog nila yung backhoe na naghuhukay doon sa dredging project na yun. And yun po yung ni-reinforce po namin. At it is a 1 month exchanging fires against the rebels. So, and that time, March 2, so our team, yung company namin, 62nd Warhawks Company, DRC, yun po yung nag-lead ng company. So, na-accidental na naapakan po ng aking platoon sergeant yung bomba, yung IED. Yung mga 1 meter lang po sa aming harapan yun. So yun po yung sumabog sa harap namin. Tapos pagsabog po noon, mga nasa 2 to 300 meters lang po pala yung kalaban. So, exchanging fires. So, talagang nag-volume of fire talaga doon nung that time. Sabi ko sa mga tropa, sabi ko, cover fire. Sabi ko, huwag tayong susuko. Sabi ko, that time, medyo naging, ano ako doon, na mga tropa, grabe yung hinagpis ng mga tropa. So, kasi na alam nila na tamaan yung official nila. So, pero sa biyaya po ng Panginoon, naging conscious pa rin ako ng pagsabog. Naapektuhan lang talaga yung mata ko kasi yung pagsabog ay nakalibing po kasi nakabaon doon sa graba yung yung IED, kaya pagsabog ay napuruhan po talaga yung putol yung paa ng tattoo sergeant ko. Ako naman po mata. So, pero na-extricate naman po kaagad ako sa ano. Kasi sabi ko, nagluhod ko ako noon, tapos tumawag talaga ako sa Panginoon. Sabi ko, Lord, itulungan niyo po ako.
Captain, again, grabe yung kwento niyo. Again, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for your service. Naging advocate ka for mga wounded soldiers after yung event na yun.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a bit about yung proseso na yun? Bakit ka naging advocate para sa wounded soldiers?
Yes, sir. Ako yung naniniwala, sabi sa, nung pagka-wounded po kasi, doon ako sa Biluna, ay pinag-aral po ako ng ating gobyerno ng isang computer school for the blind sa Atrib, sa Cubao. New York, Cubao. Dito lang, hindi sa New York mismo.
Yes.
After nun ay ginamit ko po yun. I can do PowerPoint presentation, Word, Excel. Nakaka-computer po ako ngayon. I can independently operate the computer. So, yun po yung ginamit kong tools upang maging functional despite of my disability. Na-assign po ako sa DND for 7 years. 1 month after na-discharge po ako sa Biluna, na-assign po ako sa DND, holding the project Kapagdaka. Kapagdaka stands for Kapakanan at Gabay sa Dating Kanyuan. Yun yung project ng DND for soldiers with disabilities. So ako po yung naging program officer doon, and doon po namin nakita, kasi 70 to 80% of returning wounded soldiers will go back to their land and cultivate their land and to be a farmer. And yun po yung naging dahilan na natayo po namin itong Wounded Soldiers Agriculture Cooperative. Ako po yung naging founder doon. So now, ako po yung founding chairman at current chairman po ng Wounded Soldiers Agriculture Cooperative. So at doon po sa Kapagdaka ay nag-coordinate po tayo sa mga stakeholders and the other government agencies concerned na mabigyan po. So siguro mga nasawa 180 wheelchairs na po yung nababigay namin sa wounded soldiers natin, and 87 assistive devices. Ang marami pong skills and livelihood training na kinakanda po natin sa kanila. And until now ay namimigay po rin po tayo in coordination po sa ating mga stakeholders. So sabi ko, wow, it's amazing. Sabi nga sa Romans 8:28, and all things work together for good to them that love God and to them who are the called according to His purpose.
Yes,
So may purpose po talaga nangyari sa buhay natin. Sabi ko, God, pinull out niya ako doon sa battlefield. Binulag niya ako para makita yung totoong sitwasyon, totoong pangangailangan ng aking kapwa sundalo may kapansanan. So ito po yung ginagawa ko na ngayon. Ako yung naniniwala na lahat po ng nangyayari sa buhay natin ay may purpose po talaga.
Yeah, I totally agree, Cap. And just hearing your story kanina, it's so inspirational. And just hearing you talk as well now, you're very faith-reliant, which I love. Is faith what got you through the hardest part of your life when you were blind? Because I understand that you went through depression as anybody would.
Right.
In that instance, did faith play a big role? How did you overcome that depression afterwards? And what was going through your mind, like when you found out you're going to be blind forever?
Yes, it was so depressing when I know that I can't see anymore. So, I'm a clever and a vigilant soldier. And but suddenly, nawala na kaagad yung paningin mo. So, it's so very, very depressing. But by the God's grace, through the help of my wife, my children, my family, and the organization, they give me a chance to become more functional despite of my disability. At tiwala sa faith po talaga. Pagtitiwala po sa Panginoon po ang aking naging sandalan upang maging functional pa rin. sabi nga sa Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, sabi niya, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. So yun po, that is my life verse na talagang nagpapatibay po sa akin na akala ko hindi ako nag-lean doon sa understanding ko, nagtiwala po talaga ako sa Kanya. Kaya nandito pa rin ako ngayon, ginagamit ng Panginoon. Kaya na-overcome ko po yung depression kasi naging inspirasyon ko rin po yung mga kapwa ko sundalong may kapansanan. Kasi po, every time na pumupunta po ako dun sa Biluna and the Army General Hospital, sabi nila, Sir, meron po ba tayong wheelchair na available? Sir, meron pa tayong skills, may computer training. Sir, meron pa ba tayong mga livelihood training? So, wow. May pakinabang pa pala ako. So yun po yung na-inspire ako sa mga ganun. Sabi ko, ay kailangan pa pala ako. Sabi ko, may ano pa. Kaya I'm so very grateful na actually, I'm so very grateful na nabulag po ako. Kasi kung saan ako nabulag, doon pa ako nakakita.
Alam mo, sir, napaka-amazing ng kwento mo, no? Kahit na nangyari itong bagay na ito, napanghinaan ka ng loob pagkatapos, di ba? And then you rose from that depression and now you're helping other wounded soldiers. Ano ang binibigay mong payo sa kanila? Kapag sila naman yung nakikita mo or alam mo na napanghihinaan sila ng loob, they're discouraged, they're fearful, and they're feeling weak, di ba?
Yes.
So anong advice ang binibigay mo to, lift them up from their situation because you've been there as well?
Yes. Sinasabi ko sa kanila, ma'am, na mga sergeant, sabi ko, huwag niyong isipin yung mga nawala sa inyo. Isipin niyo po kung ano yung pa yung mga natira sa inyo.
Right.
Yun yung gamitin yung inspirasyon niyo po pagpatuloy yung buhay ninyo, pagpatuloy ang inyong pangarap sa buhay, serbisyo sa ating bayan at serbisyo sa ating Panginoon. So, kagaya ko, wala nga akong nakikita, pero may 4 senses pa ako natitira.
Yes.
So, I maximize it all para maging functional pa rin despite of my disability. So, naghanap ako ng paraan para maging functional. So, nag-aral ako, kasi may nung nag-aral po ako sa Atrib ay maraming mga civilian na mga totally blind doon na nagkakapag-computer. Sabi ko, siguro kaya ko naman siguro yan. Kaya nga nila. So, yun po, pinag-aralan ko po talaga. Kasi ang sabi ko, ito pwede kong ituro din sa aking mga sundalong may kapansanan. So, yung ni-advise ko lagi sa kanila, sabi ko, lahat ng mga natamo ninyong sugat man o pinsala sa inyong katawan, kapalit po niyan ay kapayapaan ng ating bayan. Yun po yung sabi ko sa kanila.
Captain, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for gracing us with your story, with your time. Just want to say, sobrang delayed na, pero nung 2020, Best Military Officer of the Year. Congratulations po doon. First Lieutenant ka doon.
Yes, sir.
Ngayon, Captain ngayon. Again, the journey continues for you.
Yes.
And we're so excited to see the difference that you can make to all of our soldiers fighting for us and of course making the Philippines a better place. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right now, let's wrap things up because
Yes.
this has been a great week. That's all we have for today, and we can't wait to see you for the next one.
And definitely join us again on Monday for your daily dose of positivity and good vibes.
Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. And remember, every day is
A beautiful day.
We're getting better.